All right. Good evening, everybody. Momza here with my COO Timbo, and tonight's esports player spotlight. Probably a little bit of a different take. Definitely, want to talk to mindset about player and mentality, but he's also a well-known TO in the Columbus area. So, some of the questions might be a little different than the ones that anybody that's tuned in has watched us and are familiar with our questions. But want to definitely welcome Mindset to the Spotlight series here with Dragon Squad. So, welcome, Mindset. Right. So, typically, very quickly, because not our, we all know each other's gamer tags, right? And a lot of us don't know real first names and stuff like that. So I usually just ask the player to introduce yourself, maybe a little bit about what you do when you're not in the competitive gaming scene or running tournament.
When I'm not running a tournament, I have people call me Eric. That is my first name. And at most of Ohio, if not all of Ohio, and other regions and sub-regions within that, they will call me by my first name. I do TOing. I TO on the side. I primarily work as a project engineer for a construction company, and I help put together and manage projects for construction projects that are all commercial, not so many residential, but like stuff like Ohio State campus work or hospitals, buildings, anything like that. I also love to build things and play music. I just got myself my Christmas gift this year. It was the next 6-foot Ferris wheel.
Oh.
And I put it together in about 2 weeks, and it's probably sitting upstairs in my spare bedroom. It is taller than I am, and I am 6 feet.
Oh, wow. Nice. Very nice. The one thing that I, particularly like about this series myself is it really gives me a chance to, because a lot of times I'm so busy, at tournaments, I'm, watching Fritos, I'm behind him, cheering him on and so on and so forth. So I don't really get a chance to interact and get to know people on a little more personal level. So I personally enjoy these Spotlight series. So the next question that I want to go into is I always like to ask people why you main the character that you main. And I think this is particularly important because you coach my COO Timbo as a Rob player. So I think that's very, very important that, we cover, why you chose Rob and then why you chose to coach my COO Timbo, which I thought was very generous.
The student at some point has become the master, and I would say, I'll call it mindset because we're speaking of the player. Mindset surpassed me, the start of Smash 4. Maybe I'm at his heels again. Maybe I'm gonna take him over again. But I'll let mindset talk about that. Mindset the player, not Eric the TO.
Sure.
13 years ago, I told myself that I would pick up Rob in Super Smash Bros. Because I knew that about 11 years later, I would meet a person called Jacko Reitmeyer. And I would be the one to show him the way, show him the ropes. And I actually picked up Rob back when Brawl came out, and I just liked the way Rob was as a character. I thought he was different. I liked his aesthetic. I liked that he looked like Wally from Wally, and I liked the way he played. I liked the way he moved. And then I continued to play him all throughout the iterations of Smash, and I stuck with him. And even though I'm not a new school Rob who plays Rob very technically, like L-Fouls, I continue to play in the style of I would say, Likewise or Wadi or 8-bit Man. The old school Robs who've been around forever, you can primarily play that way. Whereas you see people like L-Fouls or Deprescio or Grayson who play the new school style, they utilize a lot of the tricks and combos and things that I don't primarily do as much as a player. I primarily focus on the neutral and the mix-ups and a lot of the different kinds of style of play just to kind of outwit my opponent. And as much as I would love to practice and learn the combos that most of the better Robs that I have mentioned know, I like my comfort style of play where I can just use neutral to outwit my opponent.
Nice. Makes sense. Anything, did you learn anything from that, Timbo, listening to your coach there? You knew this was coming. You had to know this was coming.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and just to get into the Rob thing a little bit, one of the things that is attractive about Rob as a character is something that I think Eric mentioned, is that like he has a very, very cool like reward fundamentals baseline level of play that a lot of players who are really good, like Wadi could not practice Rob a day in his life and still be a top player, right? But then he does have that depth that, you know, I'll say that some of these kids who have more time to just shove into Rob can do that and kind of like push the combo game. But no, I think Eric's right in that that's one of the reasons that Rob is so attractive to play is exactly like you mentioned, right? You can focus on your neutral, you can focus on your mix-up, just focus on your fundies. So I think I've seen him play. I've learned a lot from. You know, he's the king of down for a waveland on platform regrab. I've seen him do that more times in bracket than I've seen any other Rob do that. And, that's not a trick that I taught him, but you know, we can all learn something from our students every once in a while.
It was one of the first things that he ever said to me was, I love the way you do things. We didn't really speak that much prior to that moment, except for me asking him, hey, are you cool with this? Like, I think there was a conflict with bracket when we were coming up, and I know he and his doubles partner were asking me, hey, like, make sure that we can put us in bracket. And aside from that, I didn't really know who he was. And then after that moment was when we started kind of interacting more with the Columbus scene and the Ohio scene in general, more than just people who met in our doubles scene.
I think we met at Curve Stomp as well, briefly. Yeah, last year at Curve Stomp, yeah.
I had to leave that tournament early because of personal circumstances, but I do, it was nice meeting you and him then. But yeah, it was a great tournament. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun at that one as well. Really can't wait. I think it goes without saying for the three of us is we just want in real life to come back along with the thousands of other TOs or players want it as desperately as we do. So outside of Smash Ultimate, what are there any other games that you that you play and find just as enjoyable, Eric?
Oh yeah, I recently found myself a lot of time on my hands, so I actually purchased, I would say about 6 or 7 Switch games just to play in my free time, and a lot of them are Mario based. My favorite game of all time is Super Mario Galaxy, and I am playing that currently right now on 3D All-Stars, and it's a lot of fun to repeat and play that game again. Just the music, it's timeless. It's unbelievable how far they've come with the music, and that was only in 2007, and they've come along since. And I love Odyssey. I love that game. I love a lot of the other games for the Switch that has come out. I've played the Switch more than I've played, I would say, the Wii and the GameCube growing up. Even Nintendo 64, I played those. I played those all the time. But playing the Switch, I actually have more games for the Switch than I have for any of my other consoles. And I've been kind of just going back and forth between playing games like Sonic Mania, Crash Insane Trilogy, SpongeBob Battle for the Bottom, Mario Maker, Mario Kart, a couple other Mario games, and Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Nice. So you have a big range of interest. I know Timbo, Zacho, I can't seem to get him away from Hades.
Now, I was going to say, Eric, and I don't recommend this game to everyone. You know, it's not the title I throw around, but if I look into games you like, there is an indie game by the company Super Games called Hades: Escape from the Underworld that I think you would actually really enjoy.
I've downloaded it, so it's It's on my to-do list, but I need to finish a lot of the other indie games I've already downloaded, like Celeste. I'm halfway through. I need to finish that. That is on my to-do list after Galaxy, and then I gotta finish. I got Cuphead, Hollow Knight, and I gotta finish those two as well.
I would say those are all games that, like, whenever I hear someone who likes them, like, nobody just kind of likes all those games. It's like they're obsessed with it. It's like, if anyone likes Hollow Knight, like, they love Hollow Knight. And then everyone who's played Celeste has been like, Celeste is the best game in the world. So I think those are good titles. Yeah, good titles.
Amazing.
Don't really interest me, but I know people who really like them, they love them.
So you're either on one spectrum or the other of those kind of games. Sounds like either you love them or you hate them, and just not my. Personally, for me, it's not my thing. But shockingly, I actually have never played like Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy. My boys have, but I'm surprised that I never picked it up and after they were in bed or something like that, got on the GameCube and tried it myself, because I was playing Yoshi's Story and Super Mario World on the SNES and NES and Mario 2 and Super Mario Party 3 or Super Mario 3, so I'm kind of surprised I never picked those up. So I'm actually thinking of kind of doing along lines what you're doing, Eric, is picking up that there's three games in one, and I think I'm gonna maybe check them out for the first time ever, so that should be entertaining.
One day, my influence will reign supreme, and I will get all of you Nintendo to stop playing Nintendo games and start playing good games made with good support by good companies with good net code. One day, I know Smash Online isn't enough to convince you all that Nintendo's a bad company, but we'll get
But hashtag free melee.
free Melee.
Right.
All the influence I think I would even
I'm like mindset myself is it sounds like he has multiple gaming systems in his home. I have multiple gaming systems in my home. I have a PS and I have Xbox. So I have all of them except for maybe like the Sega Genesis, if you could even round one up at a flea market or something. Nice.
Console. I tried Xbox 360. I tried Call of Duty. I tried a couple of things. I really like that.
Yeah.
I prefer actually Nintendo and PS2. I play PS2 a lot, but I don't really prefer Sony or PlayStation. It's not my thing. I like playing a lot of the platformers and collectathons that the Switch has to offer and other Nintendo consoles. I like that. It's good enough for me. I can't really devote all of my time to play all these video games and all these consoles. I don't really feel like dropping money on these systems when I'm more than happy enough to play all these games that I've got.
Exactly. It can get costly. I currently still have a PS3, so I've never upgraded. And the only reason why I have a Xbox is my youngest brother, he upgraded his, so I got his hand-me-down. And really the only titles I even have on that is like the Injustice and Mortal Kombat 11. That was it. I'm more of a Sony Nintendo type person, because with Sony they had Crash and they had Spyro, and so I really enjoyed those games. So we've talked about you kind of being a player and a competitor. So let me ask you, what struck your interest to kind of be like, okay, I really like competing, I really like being a player, but I also want to, TO. How did you get started, Eric, in a TO type role?
So my actual mentor slash coach was Beast, and I had first started doing tournaments under his guidance, and he had also trained a couple of other people over in Columbus that were about my when we first started in Smash 4. It was 2016. I was a freshman in college at Ohio State, and I went to my first local at Donato's. And a couple weeks I've been going there, and I've been seeing them run the tournaments, and I'm just like, this is seems like something that I want to do, and I'd like to kind of actually get more involved and like kind of run some stuff. And I asked him, I went up to him, I said, hey, what can I do to be a part of this? How can I help? And then he took me under his wing basically and started to teach me and a few others, including Carinal, Colors, and John Dog. And they kind of taught us the ropes. And where Carinal and Colors kind of like went off in their own direction, they did a couple of things here and there, and then John Dog moved over away from Smash and came into Mario Kart and ARMS and other games. I took off more and wanted to do things. And it was not an easy road. I learned a lot. I can't say I'd be where I am today if it wasn't and with all the other help that I've ever gotten from any other organizer, it's been great. And I always have Rylam of Arctic to thank for the first TOing partnership / sponsorship I've ever gotten. And I will always be a part of that. And it was at the first Arcadian that they ran in Smash 4 that he and a couple other people were like, oh wow, this person like kind of knows his stuff, and we like to have him a part of the team. And then since then, it's just like, how can I kind of improve my organization skills, and how can I improve what I want to do for a tournament? What can I do to give the player the best possible experience when they play in a tournament? And not every tournament's perfect, and I've run a couple of duds more than once, and I've learned from all of them. But getting together, working with people that I work with now, including Soul, Spencer, and Sam, and then many others who come and go who help us along the way. And Coffee Underground, where we have our class changes. It's something that I will always adore. I love running class change, and I love running cross. Two of the greatest Ohio tournaments that you would ever see, and you can't get any better than that. And I'm glad I'm where I am. I'm glad I went up to hey, I'd like to start doing that.
So let's talk a little bit about the cost, because that's where I kind of first met you and Diablo, aka Spencer. Talk about how cost kind of came to be, because I want to say when I took Fritos up there, I want to say I was maybe like the second or third cost. So how did you guys, come up with that and decide, hey, we want to take this tournament and make it huge?
It was all Spencer's idea. He had this idea planned well in advance before I even started working with him, and it was pretty much, the cost was pretty much just in somebody's house. The first one in 2017 or 2016.
Wow.
And then it started growing more. He met me at, I think, one of the Arcadians that were run by Arctic Fury, and because I think that Rylam had partnered with him before Rylam partnered with me. And so Spencer met me there. Spencer was just like, oh, I love what you do. I want to work with you. And he brought me on board to the boss team, and almost made me like his right-hand man kind of thing, like second in command. And I pretty much just said, yeah, I'm down. I'm down to do whatever you need to do. And I love being able to co-run those tournaments with him, and I love communicating with him, working with him. And then since then, he's just brought more people on to the team to work with. He's got Otter Haven, he's got Game Arena, he's got Dibs, working commentary and photos. He's got the vendors, he's got people in advertising. He's got it all. And he's somebody who I learned a lot of how I should run and do my tournaments from, just in that one tournament himself. And I could say I got a lot of influence from Spencer to run big tournaments like that.
And so that's where you came up with Class Change then, was working with Spencer?
That was all Soul's idea.
Oh, okay.
Formed Bossy back in Smash 4, and that was kind of a Soul and East tournament that they did monthly. They didn't really expect it to take off, but once I started helping them run those tournaments and I started networking and getting more people to come down to them, we ended up getting more people than bargained for Smash 4. We had a couple of PGR players show up at one point. Color Team Friends with the Buzz was nice. Cosmos staying in Ohio was nice. And I know Michigan showed up to one of those tournaments point, so we knew that it was going to be big. And then once Ultimate came in, Sol and I decided to rebrand Korin Basu into Class Change, aka it was called Karasu Enko for a little bit, and nobody caught on with that. So I said, Sol, hey, I think we should drop the Weave name and kind of just go with the English name. And he reluctantly agreed, and thus Class Change was born. But his style of doing a different class change, literally class change, was like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like you go playing games, you start with a villager, you go to the mage, you go to the knight, you go to the cleric. It's different categories. Because in Korin Basu, that's Japanese for Columbus. And we just did it based off of Pokemon games. So red, blue, yellow, fire red. So we had all those, and then it was a Smash 4 thing. And we decided to let that kind of tournament series die with Smash 4, and that's where the rebranding. And with that, Sol and I got with Arctic Fury, and then we got with Red Bull, and then we got with, of course, Outer Haven and Game Arena. And Spencer and Sam, they joined the team as well, and the four of us, plus give or take whoever else can help us, it varies on who wants to join, who's going to be there. I know you've helped us, I know Coach Dad has helped us. We had a couple of Michigan people help us at one point, and of course there's Rylam and Casual Scrub doing the Rivals. So we've gotten so much support, and we've gotten so much bigger along the years that I don't take any credit for any of it. It wasn't my idea. None of it was. It was just how can I help make it bigger, and that's what I could say I've done. Is I've been a big contributor to making a lot of these tournaments large.
I like the modesty and the fact that you want to make sure that people understand where all that came from, what your role is in it, and what role you played in that was I want to help, I want to be a part of it, and how can I help make it bigger. There's other people out there that'll be like, oh yeah, it's that's mine. I did that, and it's like, no, let's leave credit where credit's due. Because I have a lot of respect for you, and I have a lot of respect for Spencer also, just in seeing what you guys had done with Cost. And I was so bummed when basically Riptide, was all set. Yeah, and because I know Spencer had pulled me aside at one of the class changes I was with Frida's and said, "Hey, Momza, I want to tell you something. Don't tell anybody." And I'm like, "Okay." And so he kind of tipped me off to, and I was super excited for all of you guys that were involved in that. Then I see it start coming to fruition, and I can only imagine how you and I only know of like you and Spencer. I'm sure there's more people involved in Riptide, but if I was disappointed, I can only imagine how you guys must have felt.
Oh yeah, I've worked with so the people who are going to be doing Riptide. I've worked with them before. I've worked with them at Frostbite. I've worked with them at other tournaments, and I was ready. I was like, yes, I'm so excited to be a part of the staff. And when once everything happened, I was just like, hey Spencer, I don't think we got this. It's no longer ours anymore. So we're pretty much just going to have to start from scratch almost. Kind of start from the bottom again with kind of rebuilding up tournaments, at least at a larger scale like that. But I'm pretty confident that once everything comes back, it'll be just bigger than ever before, and especially with a tournament like Cost, or tournaments that you see all over other points of Ohio. You've got the Northwest tournaments, the Northeast tournaments. You've got SOS. You've got Smashing the Ice. You've got the Rats tournaments and the OU tournaments. You've got Climax. You've got them all. They're all going to be coming back. They're all going to be strong, and having a good relationship with all the other organizers in Ohio helps a lot. And then we all know kind of like how to support each other, which I will say that wasn't always there. When I first joined, there was like minimal support between the teams. Scenes kind of were always at each other's necks, I would say, in Smash 4. I liked the scenes individually, but collectively they had a hard time kind of organizing themselves and like really being there for one another. Because a lot of people didn't like the way Columbus ran their events initially because it was a round robin style kind of tournament, which you would never see anything like that today. But I like that it was a little bit different, but adapting to more players entering the brackets and having to take care of more situations, round robin just wasn't going to take it anymore. I made sure to listen to different communities and listen to different people instead of just writing them off as you don't know what you're talking about. And I know I've done that before. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? But being able to kind of like get the scenes together, and I would say that the organization of the POs was actually because I needed opinions of people of who I should not allow into an arcadium. And so I got all the TOs together and the PR panelists, and I said, hey, I need help. And I need your guys' help. And that was like after the end of Smash 4, and then especially at the beginning of Ultimate, when I think all the scenes started to come together and like they really started to know each other. So it's nice that we have that kind of camaraderie and connection in Ultimate. We didn't quite have as much in Smash 4 between the scenes, in my opinion. I think we've got that a lot better now, at least in running bigger, larger scale events.
Right, but it's always fun for, Ohio regions to have their, little, competitive edge and, the things that we see take place, between, I don't know, it always for some reason seems to be between Columbus and Cincinnati, and I don't know what the problem is with that. Any, well, I'm pretty sure I'm looking at them.
I'm pretty sure the problem is Smash Twitter culture. One or two people here and there, and then everyone dogpiles.
I got rid of that. I've been on it for only a year, like almost like exactly a year, and it's just I can't do it.
I think people just take it too far.
Well, Eric and I have had in-depth conversations about kind of like the minutia or like the nuance that is the dog pile culture of Smash Twitter. And that's not to put it on a specific region. That's like, I mean, it's just all over Ohio, and it's all of Smash Twitter. It's, one thing is said, and then it splits up in the sides, and then both sides dog pile on top of each other. And then a lot of things end up being a way bigger deal than they need to. I mean, Eric and I have talked about that. And, I mean, some good can come from it, right? If someone is exposed as, like, being like, verbally harassing someone or, like, verbally abusive, but a lot of the time it is just, it can get out of hand.
Well, and
I'd rather have that than, I'd rather have that, but what was going on in Smash 4 was that there was no support from any of the scenes in general. It was pretty much just like Northeast Ohio, Columbus, and Cincy. They're all split, and no one would support anybody else's tournaments. Nobody would go down to them. Nobody would travel to them, and like it was so much different then than it is now. You
wow.
see all of, like we'll go down to Cincy, we'll go down to OU, Northeast Ohio, we'll go to Erie, PA, we'll go all these places that I've developed. There's so much support. You get people from Northwest Ohio and Cincy coming to a weekly Columbus now. You've never seen that. You've never seen that in Smash 4. You get people like you would only get somebody like Wood. Wood would come up to a class chain or something like that occasionally in Smash 4. No one else would ever want to do it. They much prefer to go to Kentucky or Cincy events. And sometimes that's still the case, because there can be days where Kentucky and Columbus clash, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was back in Smash 4. There's so much support between all the scenes and all the regions, especially with the organizers and the competitors and the players. It was unheard of back in Smash 4. And there's more people. That helps a lot too.
That's
That's it. Since I had joined the scene, right? Like, I think within a month of joining the scene, I had a Cincy carpool. It was like, hey, we're going to do a Columbus event. So it is always really weird for me, because I didn't come in until like a year into Ultimate. It's always weird for me to hear that there wasn't that constant support. Like, I knew about like some of the nonsense on Twitter and some of like the region beef or whatever, but as someone who came in pretty new, like August of last year, I just always assumed that like Columbus went to Cincy events, and Cincy went to Columbus events, and all of Ohio went to Kentucky events. So it's crazy to hear that 2 years ago that wasn't the case at all.
Columbus wasn't
Yep.
always a good region either. Like the region, like they didn't travel, they didn't go to anything. They were only a select few people who would actually go to stuff, and that was out of Kerry before he retired. Colors and Carano.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty much just them. Nobody else traveled. Nobody else went anywhere. Nobody else cared to compete, and so like they didn't really go out to the other scene. And then same with the other regions. They didn't really feel like driving all the way up to Columbus, or they didn't feel like coming down. And so then it was nice when you would have a core in Botsu, and then you would actually get all of it. And then since then, I was just like, I want to maintain this friendship, this what we've got with each other. And I've always made it clear that I would go and support anybody in any team. And they've done the same for me. They've done the same for anybody. And it's always been that case with people that I know now in all of the scenes. There's so much support with one another. And again, it comes from that growth that you don't see that much in Smash 4. Everybody was smaller. They were all smaller scenes, fewer players, and Columbus as a whole has been so large now compared to when it ever was. Game Arena, when it first opened, we had 10 entrants. There were 10 entrants at a Game Arena the first Smash 4 before they did. The Nato was the larger tournament. And it just slowly grew over time, and now you get, plus 100 people every week. So it was very different a couple of years ago when it first opened. So I'm very happy with how it is now.
Anytime that there's growth and maturity, and you can't help but be happy with that kind of stuff. I mean, for me, I came in, pretty late as well. I mean, when I kind of started going and watching, Fritos play, one of the Smashing the Ices that there was, it was still 4. And, I was looking around, I was thinking, wow, it's really good that, here's this event at Miami University, and, people from Columbus were there, and, Kentucky people, and I think Indiana showed up, and somebody's talking about, I think somebody maybe from Michigan was there. I can't remember what Ryan had told me, but so to hear you talk about, how there wasn't the support when, and again, this was right before Ultimate came out as well, and it was one of the, I think the only other bigger tournament I had taken him to was like the Big House 8 that year, or 7, one of the two. So it's odd to think that there is such a division in 4, and now everybody is kind of out there, olive branches are out, or, hands are out there going, hey, let's all, do this together, and instead of, pushing and pulling and, quote unquote, fighting against each other.
It helps now that there are more organizers than you've ever had. Back when I first joined the scene, there were maybe 3 organizers, one in Columbus, one in Neo, one in Cincy. And it just got, they just kept getting bigger, and it just kept expanding. By the end of Smash 4, there was probably 1 organizer in every region. I would say that when Kent started doing their thing, and when Northwest Ohio started doing more, that's when, I would say when Doug over at Ohio University got that scene up and running. Like I pretty much credit him for that scene. Like I have never heard of an OU scene until Doug went over there and pretty much made it his own. And like now that scene is established. So yeah, it helps when you have 20 plus organizers in the state compared to the only select few there were back then. It helps a lot.
Is Doug Hibiscus? Is it the same? Okay. I wasn't sure if I was just making that up in my head.
I still refer to it as Flippin before he changed his tag. So I just call it.
Easier that way, I guess. I don't like that. There's been some tag name changes down here with some of the players in Cincy, and I still call them by their old gamer tag. It's like, that'd be like me changing my gamer tag at this point.
Smash for Cincy PR or something. I was like, who is? And then he was right next to me. He's like, that's me. I was like, oh, all right.
you have Alex. This guy used to be high.
Oh, Alex's tag used to be a whole other thing.
Yeah.
He's got aliens.
Yep. First time I met him was high. And he played
Same.
Kena in Smash yeah, a lot of tag changes in there. It's always kind of cool to see why they change. But it seems like it's just a exclusive thing for the most part.
Right.
Actually, I will say, Estrella, when Estrella changed his tag from the Blood Rumbler, that was a legendary. I understand the change. The best Dark Samus in the state is by the Blood Rumbler.
Wow. Okay.
So he changed his tag to Estrella for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
might take that. I might take that tag. I don't know. I think Timbo is gonna. It'll stay.
Um,
Has there? So I don't know if we talked about it, but I'm gonna call you Aaron from a TO organizer perspective. Even just talking to you, but as the player mindset, right? The competitor mindset. Is there a story behind your tag? Have we gone into that?
Yeah, I've talked about it with certain people, not everybody, but the main mindset comes from when I was younger. I'd say probably when the YouTube system still had 5 stars. I created a channel in intent to kind of make music and songs and just like kind of write my own stuff and upload it. My goal was to get people to rate 5 stars, or else a yellow mindset was the more gold that I got, the better that'll do. So I chose yellow instead of gold because yellow was my favorite color. It was close enough. So that's where yellow mindset comes from. And then when I started entering tournaments, I shortened it just for clarity. And mindset was something. Yeah, have a good mindset, positive mentality, and mentality is something I've always been dealing with for as long as I've been playing this game. And it's something that will always stick with me. And I'd say it describes me very well. It's not always. It hasn't always been positive, but the highs are high. And having a positive mindset and mentality has always given me better tournaments and better tournaments and better competitive runs.
I like that. I like that segue, and I figured we would get to this eventually. You and I have had, thorough conversations with DMs about mentality. Mamsa and I, pretty much one of the highlights of this player spotlight series is we're having 5 or 6 people on, and then we're gonna get select people from every region to kind of preach about having a good mindset, having a good mentality. So I guess just as a prelude to that, in as much detail as you want, do you think you could share kind of your experience of how your mentality has matured as being a competitor, like just as much yeah.
I don't know if I think it's kind of ironic. I don't think I would be actually the safest poster child for mentality, even though it's my cat. I would give that to other people who are way better at their mentality than I ever have. But in terms of just mindset and mentality just in general, it's always something that I struggle with. And not even just in Smash, but just in life. When you're born and you've pretty much been able to be good at a lot of things you set your mind to, and you then have to work harder and you are challenged and you can't get everything as you could when you were younger, you get frustrated. You get frustrated when people who compete consistently start beating you. You get frustrated when you are getting so good at a game, you start winning money, and then that gets taken away from you by people who are either better than you at your level or just outplay you on the game. It gets to your head. It makes you feel like you're not good enough at the game. It makes you feel like you're just, like, what is this effort that you're putting into if it's not paying off? It's hard. It's not just me. I've had my moments, and everybody knows I've had my moments. They've seen it. They've heard about it. They've experienced it. It's not my favorite moment, but it's happened. It's a hard time. It is a hard moment to get past when you're struggling in this game because you want to prove to yourself that, hey, I can be good at this game. Like, I want to be the best at my character, or I want to be the best in this region, or I want to be like, and if you can't, if you don't think that you're good enough, then you just kind of crumble and fall. And the anger that comes out, it's almost never at your opponent. Sometimes it kind of comes out at your opponent, like when you feel like your opponent is supported, or they outplay you in a way that you don't think deserves any kind of reward. Say like they're spamming a move out of shield, or they're kind of just hitting you with things that you don't think you should have gotten hit with. You kind of get frustrated at that. You kind of go into your opponent and just like, oh, screw you. Like, you should not have won that. But at the same time, they got in your head and they were able to outplay you by doing the simplest things that you couldn't adapt to it. So it's many. I've had many moments like that too. Where I almost, I think I almost took ruin relationships that I have with people because like I told them, I said, "Oh, you're bad at this game." They're like, "Get out of here!" Like, not very bad at it. So it's like, yeah, and I've gone up to them afterwards, and I always apologize. I was out of line. And I look back at it now, and I think about all those moments that I've had the bad mentality, and it's just like, yeah, I've come a long way since then. And yeah, sometimes it still slips out. Sometimes it still slips where I'm salty, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, but it goes away quickly, and it definitely goes away in my organizer. It's gotten so much better. I think I've gotten a lot better as an organizer because I used to be very difficult to work with many people, and I think I've eliminated a lot of relationships that I've had with organizers and organizations because of my stubbornness and unwillingness to kind of look at it from a different perspective. I'm like, no, do this my way, do this the way that you've done, that's how it works. But that's not always the case. And getting older is a big factor in that too. I was 18 when I first started doing stuff. I was 18. I was young. I was the same way every person was when they were 18 to 20 and they were getting good at something in the Smash community. They got cocky. They got carried away. They didn't listen to people. So I would say that. Recognize that, and it allows me to further myself in opportunities with other organizations, whether I'm a partner with them, or if they let me run my tournaments there, or if they like having me. That's the biggest thing. If I can maintain a personality where people recognize me as an organizer who runs really good events and has taken care of them, then I've done my job. That's all I can do at this point. I don't care about being a competitor. People know me as the Rob guy, and that's it. I'm not even the best Rob in the state, so it's like I don't really care about it at that point. No, it's not you either. It's we know who it is, and I'm the biggest fan. So it's like when you put effort into it, you get better results. And he has. He's practiced. He's done techniques. He's done stuff I haven't done. So yeah, he's better. So it's nice knowing that you're still fine and that nothing has changed. You're still going to get your results. You don't have to be the best, or you don't have to be X, Y, or Z. And I like, instead, not as a competitor, but as an organizer, I like being more of that. And so therefore, I kind of went away from being called mindset and rather kind of just had people call me Eric. And I would say Carol puts it best. So when he described me, I think it was really something. Yeah, Eric is one of the kindest people I've ever met, and really good person, cares about his competitors, cares about the people he meets. Mindset has been very hard to work with throughout the years that I've known him. He's very stubborn and hard to handle in terms of emotion. And so I like looking at it that way. Oh yeah, like it's kind of like a transitional period. I'm going to keep the tag, but the history of the tag and who I've known for 4 to 5 years while I've been in the scene, it's they definitely see me at my worst. So it's kind of like, people are starting to see me now at my best.
So when you would say, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and I know you will correct me if I'm wrong because I know you well enough to know that you won't hesitate to do that. But if you were to be known, as an organizer, right, you would rather be known as, Eric, the organizer, and keep Mindset as the competitor name, or are you kind of okay?
It depends on the closeness that I have with the people. Everybody can call me Mindset. The people who know me as Eric, they've known me for a long time. So like, I would say the crew that I'm in, they don't call me Eric. Only one person calls me Eric, and that's another Rob from another team who I've already known. But everybody will call me by my tag. So like, being as an organizer, I will always introduce myself. Hey, I'm your TO, Eric, aka Mindset. I will introduce myself as well. I always prefer people to call me by my first name when I'm not getting called for a match or when I'm not in Smash mode. But if I'm organizing an event or if I'm getting called for a match or anything like that, I'm fine with that. That's not a big deal. So it's kind of like a hybrid at this point. Like, you're close enough, you know my first name, go ahead and call me that. We're on good terms, we're on a good level. But sure, call me my tag. That's fine too. Like, it doesn't matter what they call me. They'll just as long as they know me as this organizer who runs events and wants to do it to his best potential.
Yeah, I think it's for me personally. I can definitely feel where you're coming from as far as, I kind of have to know you on a personal level if we're gonna kind of break away from, my gamer tag. And I think it depends on how long I've known you, kind of like you're saying, but, for me, like my gamer tag is, even a lot more personal, because I'm the elder in the community. Everybody, just about, I'll take everybody and call them, my kid or whatever. And, Frida's gave me the gamer tag. So, I, for me, I don't mind if I hear somebody call me Kim. But I think if I'm like in a TO organizer kind of mode, for me, and my mindset is, to hear Momza when I'm kind of in that TO mode. Because I'm not a player. We all know that. I try, and I don't know why I try. So I see what you're saying as far as, for you, especially being player and TO, there being that, distinction, especially if you happen to be playing in a tournament that you're also going to be TOing later. To be called Eric when you're the TO and then, have your gamer tag called when it's, your turn to play your match. And
There's enough overlap that it doesn't really matter. I'm okay with either being referred to me. Just don't call me anything stupid like mine or yellow. Don't call me that. Either Eric or mindset.
right. Yeah.
I've actually had people correct me. I usually just call everybody by their first name, especially if I know that. I've had people correct me and say, no, do not call me by my first name.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny when it's like the opposite of the point where it's just like, no, don't do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, with like you, because I've talked with you, I've talked with Spencer, I've talked, with Zacho, I have that kind of conversation or, those kind of conversations with you guys where, to call me Kim is like, fine. But, I guess for me, if like one of the competitors came up, I think that might throw me a little bit, if they said that instead of like Momza. That wouldn't go so well. So I
A lot of the players will still call me mindset, especially if I'm running a tournament, and that's fine.
right.
It's usually funny to me when somebody refers me to mindset when I'm just talking to them, like just in general, if I'm in a chat, and I'll be like, hey, you can call me there. Like, where I'm
You've actually done that to me. And to be honest, I mean,
I've done that to both of you guys, actually.
and it's just like,
I've done that to both.
I think you might have done it to me. I remember seeing you post something about you wanting to be called Eric in a certain setting. I was like, all right, I'm down.
yep,
All right, sounds good.
yep, same here.
Pretty much just call people whatever they want to be called. Not to
Right.
it costs zero money for me to call someone what they would like to be called.
Yeah.
$0.
Right. Right.
What's funny is I think there are 3 people total in the Smash community, or there are 2 people total in the Smash community who call me by my first name, and they're both in this call with me. I think it's not a secret, right? It's not like JL is like this small crew, right? It's really just like a friend group, right? Like a Smash crew. But I think 5 or 6 people have tried to call me by my first name, and then they were like, Timbo. I'm like, all right. Because like everyone, we're all friends, we all hang out in real life, and like we call Cadence Jake, and I don't remember the last time someone called, Emma Zareth, right? But I'm the only person who doesn't go by the first name. Yeah, but like I don't know. None of them call me my first name. I think one of them tried one time. I was like, you can, but it just didn't feel right.
Right. And then I think that's it.
Oh, I think it's just because my tag like kind of sounds like a name, right? There's not like a human. Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's actually completely coincidental, which is hilarious.
Right. Right. So, let me ask you this, and you can answer it either from both perspectives, Eric, or just choose to focus on one. But is there a particular maybe tournament where you were a competitor, or maybe it's a tournament where you were the TO that is like really more memorable to you than like any other time, when you were either, like I said, you can take it from either the player perspective or a TO perspective. This question is entirely up to you. But is there something that's, really sticks out as your most memorable time? I won't say win, I'll say time.
I've got a couple of those. So most of them are actually doubles, and because I love doubles. Doubles is way better than singles. So Charles and I have won a couple of doubles tournaments. We've won one class change, one or two. We've won those together, and then we got to play on stream at Frostbite 2020 against Waddy and Matty G. That was an experience, man. That was crazy. All of Columbus was down there, and they were cheering for us. And like Carls and I gave them a run for their money. Of course, we didn't win, but hey, we held our own. We played well. And then I think back to Cost. It was Cost 2018. Cost 2018, the last Cost of Smash 4. I entered doubles then, and I teamed with Estrella, the Samus. This was a Rob Sim. We were in Grand against Dark Shad and Fatality.
Oh man.
It was unheard of that a Rob and a Samus
Oof.
were in Grand against two PGR players at the largest Ohio tournament to date. And again, we took a game. It was 3-1, but it was close. And they got one of the best clips of all time from Smash 4, where Chad Shoryu fatality flips through Estrella twice, and then they did it 3 times. And it was
Wow.
I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh no. Those two doubles moments were two of my favorite moments. Oh man, like as a competitor in other moments, I've had many of those where I've won game arenas before. I've won Donatos. My first time beating a PR player was nuts. My first time JV3ing somebody was nuts. And both on stream, by the way.
Nice.
Smash 4. And like that was nuts to me. Like I was just like, I can't believe I'm back at the game that I can do this. And they were crazy. One of my favorite moments was I know it was at Cost. And I think getting to commentate that tournament was amazing. Getting to interact with everybody at that tournament was amazing. Just as a TO, my favorite stuff has always been experiences that I've gotten watching all of the competitors do their thing, side betting with them, and just going with it. Like class change at Coffee Underground and then Cost at Game Arena. It's just like you can't beat those tournaments. Oh, and then run it back when we did that.
Yes.
I decided they're like, hey, we're very sorry that this tournament ran so poorly, and getting to work with 2DG, that was insane. Like they came and I spoke to them. I said, hey, what's going on? Like what happened with this tournament? And they told me exactly what happened. They were under a bad contract with bad venue owners, and they really didn't have much creative control in this tournament. And I said, and they like, hey, we want to make it up to you. I said, hey, you're talking. Like I would love to run a tournament with you. So that's where Run It Back comes in, and that was an amazing tournament too. So it's being an organizer and being able to run some of the greatest tournaments that people know about, especially in the Midwest. Everybody knows about Frostbite and everybody knows about the Takeout, but the people are starting to know about Frost, and people are starting to know about Class Change. So you get these big tournaments in a scene like Ohio, and then we've grown so much as a scene too. I love seeing people like Toast and Doorstop and Geist who come out of nowhere basically, and they just start destroying people. And they all PGR status. And of course, the people I haven't mentioned yet, like Colin, Chad, Smash 4 veterans who have clearly shown PGR status. I'm talking about these people who are just like, oh, and then Katakiri comes out of retirement, Brawl vet, Smash 4 vet. He's just like, yeah, I'm not done with you guys yet. Let me show you a little bit of me running. And so it's just like seeing moments like that. Oh yeah, I think that was probably one of my favorite moments that I've seen live. Was Katakiri beating Umeki to make it in the top 8 of cost, or not cost, run it back. I commentated that. That was nuts. Oh, that was nuts. So I've had so many good moments, I can't even count them all. And that's just stuff that I run. So.
So it's very obviously it's very hard for you to just nail down like one moment that is more memorable than the other, and I think that's I think that's what we really want though, right? Is like we want more than just one to remember. We want to be able to remember multiple times that were stick out in our memory and we'll never forget.
And I think, Monza, that segue, also mentioning that we're at the top of the hour.
Just about.
It,
It
the highlight of the hour.
it is.
Highlight. I think if you want to take that away for all of our viewers, for everyone who will watch this later, this is something Monza and I have talked about a lot in detail. We've talked about it a little bit, and it kind of has started coming to fruition. We're both, the two of us right now are very excited to make this happen. So you want to take that away?
Yes, we are. Yeah, in all honesty, I wouldn't have, I don't think I would have had the conversation go any other way than the way that it did, Eric, when, we were talking in Discord. And, just the things that you have done, with Dragon Squad, you helped Tio Curb Stomp too. You actually offered me your help at the in-person Curb Stomp. We've worked together with a couple of the masquerades. And I just was like, man, I should make you like an honorary DSE member. And you're like, and your response, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, when you're like, oh, I would love that. I was like looking at my computer like, did he really just say that? So I'm like, right. And so I'm like, well, wait a minute. So, we had a little more conversation. Of course, I have a partner that I need to talk to. I don't want to I don't want to run things like what I had previously experienced. But yes, Timbo and I are very, very happy to announce that Eric has decided to join Dragon Squad eSports in the capacity of a TO. So super stoked about this. Just the experience that you bring, I think, is going to help me personally also become, a better TO, because I hold myself to very high standards as well as Timbo does, and I know you do as well. So yeah, very, very excited to announce and put it out there. It's so hard for me to keep it under wraps after we have made it, official. But yes, TO of, joining Dragon Squad eSports as in the capacity of a TO. So welcome to Dragon Squad officially.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of the team, and just add it to the prefixes I already have. Slowly becoming Thanos.
Yes.
You guys got Batman hat off the prefix. No, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
So no, I'm excited, and I love to be a part of this team as an organizer, and I look forward to running events and helping you guys grow as an organization, because that's what small organizations, like that's how Arctic Fury was, that's how Panic Gaming was. If they're all small and they got to start somewhere, I'm more than happy to start building it up from the ground up.
Yeah, it takes. I don't have to tell you. It takes a lot of hard work. And thankfully, the three of us all seem to get along very well, as it is too, and have good personalities. The last thing, yeah, I know. I gotta. I don't know what I'm gonna do about him. I may have to hand him off to you at this point, Eric. I don't know. I mean, how dare he try to fire me from my own company? It's like, dude, we don't have a board of directors. You cannot remove the owner. You need a board. Well, we are right at the top of the hour, Eric. I don't want to keep you. I know you have a crew battle that you need to get to this evening. I do want to say thank you so much for joining our player spotlight. Welcome to Dragon Squad eSports, and good luck in your crew battle this evening.
Thanks, Jay. It was a pleasure being on.
I can see it on the shirt that we made you, DSE, Eric, aka Mindset. I think would be cool. Perfect. I love that.
Agreed.
ESC mindset is
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Aaron dictate mindset is too long. ESC mindset.